All right. 427 Chevy, 420 horsepower, 470 foot-pounds of torque. I'm talking about some muscle. Chevelle, it's Chevelle Day, and I can't think of that without thinking of Matthew McConaughey in Dazed and Confused. I know it was a 1970 car, but it's like he's got 3 lines. One is really creepy, and one is just him pointing at the engine. So I'm stoked about this because I haven't driven a real muscle car in like, I don't even think Musta let me drive his Charger.
Really?
He's a jerk. So it's been a really long time. So Tyler, thank you for coming out.
Oh, pleasure.
Tyler brought a 69 Chevelle with a really potent engine that you downplay a lot. And then you're like, oh, I might just put like some rods and a turbo on it eventually. Like,
yeah, later on.
Real mellow.
Just like a little single turbo or something later.
Yeah, just like just a single turbo, you know. I just want to live in a quiet, private island of my own. And, you know, I just like to fly little planes called G5. Like this. So 427 turbo is like never a mellow thing, but that's not what you have right now. So tell the people what you got.
It's a NA 427. It's about 10.5 to 1 compression, roller cam, Brodix heads, made 420 wheel, 472 torque to the wheels. Got a TKO 500 or 600 trans from American Powertrain, Holley Terminator EFI, 12-bolt Chevy 410 gears, Forged Star wheels and Bear brakes in the front, drums in the rear, and that's pretty much it. Cool. UMI suspension, so it's got coils in the front with Viking shocks, double adjustable, and then regular coils and double adjustable Vikings in the rear.
Cool. So it's kind of like you've done this at home for one. Just, you know, it's not like a pro build. You're not like a fabricator or anything, and then it seems like you're just. It's kind of like a driver is the intent to it, right?
Yeah.
You drag race it a little bit, but now you said you're new to the cornering thing.
Yeah, I'm new to turning. I'm used to going straight. Left and right is like foreign to me, so I'm still getting the hang of it.
Well, we'll see how it does with that. I'm used to cornering, but I remember from my days owning a classic car. You know, turning was like an elective in college.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you can do that if you want, but you could also take a different subject called like add more power
and just go straight. Yeah.
All right, so everybody, I'm sorry, it's gonna be loud. I might have to subtitle this one. I hope not, because it takes 4 hours to do that. But muscle cars are always great.
Parking brake.
Enjoy that, internet. Enjoy that. Light on the dash. So coddled.
Sorry.
It's okay. There's actually this has shoulder belts. We don't need them.
It does have shoulder belts, but they're not necessary.
Oh man, it already feels familiar. It already feels familiar.
Okay,
yeah.
Good.
Like I had a Hurst shifter. It was kickback like that. Like there's something about these that is just like people talk about the mechanical feel of driving. I know I'm going really slow while we talk. Like. The mechanical feel of driving like an old Porsche or Miata, the feedback, this is like 3 or 4 times that. Everything feels like industrial, and it feels like you're just, I don't know, working like a factory. It's like, chuck, chuck,
yeah,
chuck,
everything's like super mechanical and like direct, like
really overbuilt.
Yeah, absolutely. But it feels so good to me, like to have like heavy clutch, heavy throttle, really clunky shifting, like it's like the mechanical feel of it.
And it's not difficult shifting. It's not that kind of clunky. It's like...
It's just like... Yeah.
Oh, and then there's that part. Yeah, then there's that part.
You feel the engagement. That's like...
You do.
There's no softness to it. Like, you can feel the mechanics.
Well, yours, I think with that suspension, is much firmer than like... I guess, well, my car in high school was a joke. I didn't know what suspension was. So yours directs a lot more of that noise forward by having this stiff suspension. Mine directed most of the noise into squat and just sound.
Yeah, or wallow. And
a lot of that.
Like all the old cars I had when I was young, it's like in a dinghy on the ocean, like swaying all over the place. So
my car had like 380 crank, and then I got smoked by a very lightweight Rabbit with like a 2-liter.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, I'm all noise. I'm all bark, no bite. Oh man, this is great. Okay.
Like when I was a kid, or like when we were kids, like 13-second quarter mile was like, dang, that's
so
fast. That's a fast car. Like,
and that's like
now it's
a
like
Camry is almost doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man. Okay, well we got a lot of play in the steering.
Yeah, there's.
I mean, I'm glad you went with a smaller wheel instead of the big ones. Man, there's like the sound. It's like the sound of the engine, the vibration coming through, the headliner, and the door construction, and like all the things that they used to use to manufacture cars. I don't know. It's like the acoustics of an opera house.
Yeah, you hear everything going on in the car.
You really do.
You can't miss anything.
Like, I feel like we are hearing like the actual little vibrations in the exhaust, not just the explosions through the megaphone.
Right? Yeah, you're hearing everything going through there, plus every little pebble that's getting kicked up from the tires and anything in suspension. Like,
yeah, what, you have NT01s on this? What size tire are you running?
I had 275 35 in the front and 275 40 in the rear.
All right, so people...
1810s.
That's a lot. That's a lot of tire.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
For everybody watching, it's like 40 degrees today. It was 36 or 37 when we got up here. So I'm not going that fast because I'm worried about cold road and cold tires.
Plus the car is kind of sketchy anyway.
I mean, plus the car is, 50 years old.
Yeah.
And we know that if we crash, the sheet metal is going to fold like Michael Flynn. It's just going to click.
Yeah, that'll be the ultimate one take.
Yeah, the ultimate one take.
The final.
What's so funny, like the bodies in these, they're heavy and they're steel, but they're really flimsy. And yet, all of the hard, like drivetrain, transmission, diff, everything felt like it was used to move tanks. Like it's so overbuilt and strong.
Yeah, the driveline stuff.
Sorry, you were saying?
The driveline's really beefy on old cars. Like,
oh my god! Oh man, it's so good. It's like an angry volcano.
I'm so glad you like it.
I mean, look, the wheel, the play is so fun.
On center is kind of, when you're turning, it feels like it's better.
Pretty good.
But like on center is kind of like it's kind of vague and wobbly. Like,
once it sets, like
once you get into the turn, like it holds nice, but on center's kind of sketchy.
Well, you probably need just steering bushings, or like, actually, what kind of steering? Is it a box or is it rapid?
Yeah, it's a box.
Alright.
Like I was telling you earlier, when I built it, like I built the car a million times over because like I try to save money, so I built it one way, and like so over the years I've been trying to like get rid of all the cheap stuff that I put in it originally.
Your dad. So tell your story.
So this was my dad's first car, 1969, and after he graduated college, he stopped driving it, and my grandmother drove it, and I've been riding in this car since I was a little kid. Been in the family ever since, and my grandmother gave it to me in 1998, and that's kind of like how long I've been working on it, sort of like restoring it. It was all rusted out when my grandmother gave it to me.
Really?
Yeah.
So did you change out body panels and cut?
Oh yeah, I had the whole roof replaced, and like the quarters had a bunch of panels cut out. It had a lot of rust because it was a vinyl top originally.
Oh wow!
So vinyl tops rust terrible. Like if they're not kept indoors.
I believe that. I've never liked the way they look, to be honest. Like no offense.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's like it was really popular in the 60s and 70s, but it's definitely not a look that I like. But I kept the trim for the vinyl top because I like the way that the trim work is, like the metal work of it and how it kind of breaks up the line.
That's why it looks different. Okay.
Yeah, so I left that trim but didn't put the vinyl back on. But yeah, it was like one day in '98 I went out and was looking at the vinyl top, and I stuck my finger through the roof of the car.
What?
And I told my grandmother, like, Grandma, please, let me save the car.
Let me save this thing. I'm just checking. I think it's louder in here than I expected.
Is it? Okay. Yeah, when you get on it, it's definitely loud.
Oh, of course. I just want to check that camera. Will the e-brake hold if I let it idle?
Yeah, probably.
The confidence. I can do this. I got a foot on the brake.
I mean, if it rolls, it's not going to roll too fast. You'll know.
We're okay. I think my e-brake worked in high school. Man, this thing sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's Magnaflow exhaust.
We like them. They do good work.
Yeah, I like MagnaFlow. I know a lot of people say, oh, it's too quiet. And I'm like, really? MagnaFlow is too quiet? What?
Depends on the car.
I mean, maybe I'm just getting old now. I was talking to one of the other guys down there that originally when I put this together, I had the exhaust dumped at the rear. And that was like 2 days of driving that, and I had to exit out the sides because I couldn't take the...
I had mine just drop down, like cut out, but I think I had Flowmaster. But I remember aero chambers were like the loudest, and it was, you know, it also depends on the series. I think to blanket a company as like, that's the loud one, unless they only make 2 products.
Right, yeah.
Wow, man, I miss this so much.
Yeah, it's so fun.
God, like,
I mean, new cars are like incredible. They're like the total package, but I don't know, just for me, I've always liked old cars and just the smells and like...
well, they carry an attitude, like, especially the 70 Chevelle and the 71, the front, it's like a fist.
Right.
Like the front is flat, the back tapers. It's like not that kind of fist, the kind that used to hit people in the face. Now, you know, you say fist nowadays, everyone just thinks you're looking at 4chan. They have like a formidable presence, and then driving them is like everything you do is an occasion. It's like turning it, braking, or hitting the gas. There's always a little delay compared to new cars. So I feel like it's like lighting a fuse. Like if you want to hit the gas, it's like lighting the firecracker, and about half a second, then it goes. And if your car, like mine with squats on, it's like 2 seconds. You know, hit the gas, turn, like it sets and turns, like everything. You get a moment of anticipation, and then the payoff is just like Metallica and Megadeth and everything at once.
Yeah, totally metal.
The engine responds real quick.
Yeah, it wrapped up pretty fast. I mean, that's kind of why I went with the 427. Plus, I was caught up, like, when I was building it, you know, like, back in the day, it was, like, big block, so cool, that's all I wanted. So, like, I had to go with the big block instead of, like, LS swap.
What's your red line? Because your tack goes to 10.
Oh, no, it's, like, 65.
That's what I figured.
It's hydraulic roller cam.
Okay.
I think, you know, when I redo it, I'll probably do, like, solid roller, get more RPM, but...
I mean, this thing's so loud, like, we're at 3,500, and it sounds like we're at 6 to me.
Yeah, 35
Oh, it's so angry. The sound is so angry. And the brakes are great.
Yeah, those
mechanical bears.
Those bears work really good in the front.
There's no slop in the pedal.
Yeah, I'm really pleased with them. And they're tiny, too. I mean, they fit underneath 15-inch wheels.
Yeah, they're not that big. You have a lot of gap there, but if they work, who cares?
Yeah, they work.
Oh, the sound. I mean, I'm in fourth. Like, I don't need to shift. I don't think we need... I don't need to rev it out in third. And
Yeah,
the road's so cold. We're trying to be careful. So what's the goal with this car? Because I know you have another project car. You have a Camaro.
Yeah.
But, like, are you going to have them be very different flavors?
I mean, I feel like this thing, staying with the big block, the Camaro's going to be LS and forced induction. I mean, I might keep this in a, you know, maybe I'll do a bigger big block, like a 598 or something like that later. I don't know. 598? Well, you get so used to the power so easily, you know, and it's like...
Well, I mean, I'll tell you a secret, like, you're going to get used to it no matter what. So, it's a moving target. Like, we filmed this guy that had an 11-second GTR once, 1,200 horsepower package. And he's like, yeah, I think I might go for like the 14. And we're like, oh, how long have you had this? Like, 4 months.
Oh, well.
So, like, you know, humans, we'll get used to anything.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what you want to do. I think there's an experience to driving an NA carbureted big block, and then there's an experience of, like, you know, an old school turbo car is also an amazing thing, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of was thinking about that. Like I said, the single turbo on the big block, just kind of different, I guess, you know.
You're really good at pausing right when I floor it and then picking up again.
Well, I figure there's no way anyone's going to hear when you get on it, so I figure I'll just stop and, you know.
You know who Josh Kalis is?
Yeah.
His twin turbo Camaro the most amazing experience I've ever had because it felt and sounded like an old car.
Right.
And the engine, even though I think it's LS3, it's still like, it felt like an old car, but it's twin turbo. So it was the fastest, craziest thing I've ever been in.
Oh,
but
yeah.
all around you are like the noises and smells of, you know, the old vinyl and rattly, like a little bit rattly doors.
Sure.
And then the power though is like modern twin turbo LS. It was such an experience. It was so cool.
Incredible, I'm sure.
I think, you know, you'll be happy with this no matter what you do. It corners really flat. I mean, my only complaint is the on-center steering, but...
Yeah, that dead spot in the center where it's kind of washy is like the worst part.
It is, but otherwise, I mean, this feels like a really good driver. It's confident in the corners. I was confident in the brakes. A lot less lean than, you know, a lot of older cars I've been in. And I know that, you know, there's a lot of people out there with Pro Touring builds that are more impressive than this, but they're way, way, way more expensive. And I like we were saying before, you know, there are people that have built race car, Pro Touring cars for $200,000, and, you know, they would like maybe be a little faster than my M3 on a road course, like maybe try to keep up with that MSP3, but I feel like the fun per dollar, just the ratio gets all skewed. And like, this is a good driver. It corners, it brakes, it goes. I mean, wow, really responsive engine. And you know, you built most of it yourself.
Yeah, my buddy Buster and I built the motor, and my buddy Sean and I put it in and put the trans in, and the only thing I didn't do was wire it and build the tunnel. So
it's
you know,
it's a hoot.
It's just been thanks to a lot of good friends and my buddy Warren and everybody. So couldn't have done it without any of my friends. So
this is what this dash is like. Oh, you can cut all this eventually. It's a
I just
repop
bought a
dash,
plastic one, since I was gonna stick all the gauges in there.
I don't know, man. For me, like, this is my kind of muscle car because it's not so nice that I'm worried about driving it hard or like, you know, doing second gear like clutch drops to do burnouts, or, you know, you could slide this thing. It feels like it would be really controllable. So it has that. It still has that like kind of rough and tough feel, but the exterior looks really good and everything works really well.
Yeah,
you know?
Thank you. I'm really glad you like it.
Yeah.
I was worried. I know you drive a lot of really awesome stuff, so I was like, I don't know if my car's gonna be too.
No way, man. Dude, when I saw this, I was so happy when you emailed me. I was like, absolutely, we have to make this happen, because I missed this so much. Even as big a fan and supporter I am of like electric cars and all the stuff that goes with that. I mean, I grew up with this.
Yeah.
This is like my early experiences with cars were hot rods until I was like 20. So, right. Dude, this is like a great walk down memory lane, and I appreciate it.
Awesome, man.
Absolutely,
really glad you liked it.
Thank you so much. No, I want to buy one of these. One day. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Please check out our Blip Shift shirt. We got new shirts coming out every month. Our merch helps us pay for the gas to come up and do these shoots and do all the things you like. And listen to our podcast if you haven't. We put out new shows twice a week. We may go down to once a week because it's just hard to keep up with the volume. But there's a huge back catalog if you haven't found it. We got guest fabricators, race car drivers, comedians, tons of people you probably know from the automotive world. A lot of YouTubers as well. So check that out. And thank you guys for watching. Thank you for supporting us, and we will see you later.